When done correctly, Artian weapons can become the strongest weapons available in Monster Hunter Wilds. In this video I'm going to show you how to craft them, how to upgrade and what upgrades to look for, how to avoid any common mistakes, and how to farm the materials you need to craft and upgrade the weapons. If you learn anything new in this video, I'd greatly appreciate you to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. Okay, so to craft your Artian weapon you're going to want to head over to the smithy. Select the Forge Artian weapon icon and we can get started. From here, of course, select whatever weapon you're wanting to make. For me, it's longsword. And now you have a bunch of different options that may confuse you. So what we need to do here is select 3 different parts, each of which give an Artian bonus of either attack bonus or affinity bonus, as well as coming with an element. The most ideal way to craft these is to match 3 of the same element. As you can see, if I match 3 water, I now get 300 water element with a 676 raw attack, being as all 3 of these parts have attack infusion. Now, let's say instead of the last piece being another water, let's say I added a fire. As you can see on the right hand side, now my water element drops down to 270. However, the attack remains the same. If I was to swap out the element so that none of them match, you can now see the weapon completely loses the elemental bonus. However, the raw attack remains exactly the same. Essentially what this means is you always want to match up your 3 elements to maximize the amount of damage output it has thanks to the elemental bonus. You don't get any particular bonus for crafting a raw Artian weapon. However, a raw Artian weapon does have the potential to surpass non-crafted Artian weapons. So feel free to mess around and craft your raw damage if you want. However, I would recommend focusing on element. Now, something I need to show you is the importance of the rarity level materials you use. By using rarity 8, which is the maximum drop from tempered apex monsters, as you can see our stats on the right hand side there, 676 attack, 300 element base. Whereas if we use 3 of the same element rarity level 7 parts, the attack drops down to 643 and the element drops down to 260. And as you can imagine, if we were then to use rarity 6 parts, it drops even lower. So I would say do not mess around with the system until you've unlocked rarity 8 parts. Every single weapon will have a different focus in terms of which Artian bonuses you want. In the case of longsword, I think it's probably best to go for a minimum 15% affinity by using 2 affinity pieces and 1 attack. That's just because longsword is a weapon that benefits greatly from critical hits. So let's say we forge this longsword as an example. There we go, we've now acquired it. Now this is only just the start. You'll probably notice when you craft your Artian weapon it's going to be worse than your other weapons. And the reason for that is we can actually upgrade these swords up to 5 times. Here is a blast longsword I crafted earlier, which is the only way you can obtain a blast longsword. Now as we can see on the right hand side, this particular longsword upgraded with 2 sharpness boosts, 2 element boosts and 1 attack boost. This is sort of a weird example to show you, as if this was any other elemental longsword, this would be a terrible roll. However, blast operates a little bit different in that critical hits aren't too important. The 2 sharpness is really good, but I'll explain a little bit more on that later. Let's instead go back to the longsword we just crafted. As you can see, the direct comparison of a non-upgraded and a fully upgraded, we have lower attack. Our affinity is better because this longsword was crafted with extra affinity in the initial process. And again, blast element's slightly different. It will always be lower than the other elements. But you'll also see the difference in the sharpness gauge. Look at how much more sharpness my fully upgraded blast sword has compared to this non-upgraded ice sword. These upgrades can be obtained by selecting the sword we just crafted, and now we have a bunch of materials we can use to upgrade it. So if I input the materials we need to gain 1 level, you'll see on the right hand side the reinforcement bonus has a bunch of question marks. That's because your upgrades on these weapons are completely random. Yes, it's an RNG system, so getting your perfect roll can take some time. But here, let's roll this one and see what we get. Okay, so we got an affinity boost, which is actually pretty good for longsword. We can do this an additional 4 times. And as I kind of alluded to earlier, depending on which weapon you're upgrading, you're going to want a different combination of upgraded stats. In the case of longsword, assuming we start with 15% affinity, we probably want 1 affinity boost, 2 sharpness, 1 element, and 1 attack. But getting this affinity boost plus 5 is actually ideal. But let's say we rolled a bunch of stats we don't want on this weapon. What can we do about that? So your only option is to go into the dismantle, go to the longsword we just upgraded, and dismantle it. We'll get back a bunch of the materials we used to upgrade that longsword. That then means hypothetically if we recrafted it, we could go back into this menu and we could upgrade again. Hold up, this water sword might end up actually being best in slot if I get lucky. And from here the cycle's pretty much rinse repeat. You go in, you craft a combination of things you want, head over to reinforce, upgrade it. If you get what you want, amazing. If you don't, dismantle it, restart the cycle. Now there's one additional bonus to fully upgrading your sword, which is you now get these cool little particle effects, it starts spinning, and yeah, it's a nice little touch. For reference, here is a non-fully upgraded weapon. As you can see, no glow, no spin. But you might be wondering, how do I get the materials to be able to do this over and over again? Because it is resource intensive and will take some time. Well, first and foremost, for the upgrade materials, you want to head over to the smelting foundry located in the oil well basin in the city of Azus. You'll probably know this guy from earlier on in the story, as you can meld materials for armor spheres. However, a little later on in the game, we unlock the smelt ore option. Here we can convert monster materials for the ore required to upgrade Artian weapons. You'll always want to select Oracle Sight, as this gives you the most upgrade points. By pressing in the right stick on controller, we can now sort by which materials we have the most of. So let's say I wanted to convert 10 Jindahad scales, 10 pelts, 10 of these, and there we go. Now we have 11 Oracle Sight, which translates to around 1 Artian upgrade level. So we can smelt those, and it's as easy as that. We now have a bunch of materials to upgrade our weapon by 1 stage. Naturally, you'll be farming a bunch of monsters in the endgame anyway, so you should always have materials you can swap over. But what about the Artian parts themselves required to craft the weapon to start with? So the easiest way to do this is by going to your map and going from location to location and seeing what has spawned. As you can see, I have a tempered Jindahad that has appeared. If I select create quest on this guy, gives me ancient weapon fragments at priority 7. The tempered apexes as well as Arkveld and Gormagala will always give you the best materials needed. Whereas if I was to go down to this tempered Gypsros for example, it only offers rarity level 5 weapon shards. Now this quest in particular isn't the best, it doesn't give me a whole lot. However, let's say this guy gave me a bunch of different materials. Instead of beginning the quest straight away, you can save it as an investigation. By heading back over to Alma and scrolling down to investigations, we can now do this same quest 3 times. If you find a quest like this that I found yesterday that has, I think that's 12 or 13 level 7 parts, you can just farm it multiple times instead of one and done. And again, this is probably something that you'll more commonly see. This is a tempered radar that offers me 4. But pretty much, make sure to keep checking your map, and when you find a good one, save it as an investigation first, instead of just going to do the quest. Alright then, so let's quickly kill a tempered radar. And now in the final reward screen, where you get to see your decorations, of course you get to see your Artian parts. But that about does it for the Artian weapons, how to grind them, how to make them, and what to look out for. As discussed, these do have the potential to surpass any other weapons in the game if you get your god roll. I plan on showcasing my god roll blast longsword build a little later on, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I personally believe there's a potential that with future title updates, we may be able to upgrade Artian weapons even further beyond what they currently are, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Please let me know in the comment section if I missed anything or if you have any questions. Likewise, feel free to join my Discord, linked in the description. If you learned something new, I'd greatly appreciate if you could like and subscribe the video. Thanks for watching.